Let's call the August 20th board meeting to order at 9 o'clock in the morning. And roll call, please, Rochelle.
Director Clement,
I'm here.
Director Cox.
Yeah.
Director Wilkins,
Present.
Director Hansford. In. And Director,
Here.
I'm sorry, Wilson.
Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this point, is there any public comments from the audience? Rochelle, do we have any written or online?
Understand.
Okay, terrific. Does anyone wish to make, does anybody? Never mind. Excuse me, folks, my back's kind of out, so I'm not as sharp as I used to be, was before. Let's go ahead and review and adopt the agenda. Do any directors wish to adjust or move any of the items on the consent agenda to the regular agenda?
Approval of the agenda.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
You. And with that, I believe, Vicky, you're up.
Good morning, President Wilson and directors. Vicky from Human Resources Administrator. As we do on a monthly basis, I would like to acknowledge a couple of staff for their achievements and anniversaries. First up is Brandon Diamond of the Operations Department. Brandon received his wastewater treatment plant operator grade 5 certification recently. And just want to congratulate you on that. I've heard from other staff that it's not an easy test, so good job. And also wanted to acknowledge Tanner McGinnis of the Maintenance Department for his 5-year anniversary. Other than that, we have great staff, and again, just acknowledging them on a regular basis is always enjoyable.
Well, Tanner, thank you for your 5 years of service. And how hard is that? I mean, is it a year-long process?
It's a difficult test. There's 16 pretty in-depth math questions, and there's about 60 multiple choice questions.
Wow.
Yeah, it gets into it pretty good.
Well, good. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting the effort into it.
Grade 5 operator, it's a big deal.
Thanks.
Terrific. Let's move on to the consent agenda. And with that, would anybody wish to move that? Okay. And let's see, approval of the board minutes from the month of July.
Move to approve. Second.
Second, Dan.
Was that for the entire consent calendar, Dale, or just first, your motion?
Consent calendar of the minutes.
What's that? There's 2 items.
There's 2 items. So they're both or just the first?
Both.
Yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved. Moving on to the regular agenda. And this is the consideration and approval of the general manager employment agreement and appointment of Jason Hayes as the general manager. Vicki, I believe you're back up.
Thank you, President Wilson and directors. As we are all aware, CPS HR Consultants was retained to provide recruitment services for the general manager search upon the announcement of the previous general manager's retirement. During the recruitment, 43 applications were received, 11 were screened further by the consultant, 5 were recommended to move to an in-person interviews, and 3 were interviewed by the entire board in closed session on July 9th, 2025. At the conclusion of the interviews, the board unanimously agreed on a candidate to be the next general manager. A thorough background check was performed by CPS HR consultants. The candidate was notified of the satisfactory background completion and was made an offer and agreed upon. For your consideration today is an employment agreement for Jason Hayes for general manager of TTSA. Any questions on that?
Any questions from the board?
Questions? Congratulations, Jason.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's double-edged sword. We're looking forward to it. Can we get a motion to approve, please?
I'll make a motion to approve Jason.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations, official now. Official now. Now the really fun stuff begins, right?
Nothing like having trading in civil service protections for at will.
That's right. I would like to make one quick comment. The recruiting agency did a very good job and they did bring us 43 and Bert, feel free to add to anything if you would like. But we were impressed with the people that they brought to us, the final 11 candidates. And then we narrowed it down to the final 3. And I would just say, Jason, that you continue to impress on a higher level each time we interview you. And I just really appreciate all the hard work that you put into that process and your dedication to moving up in the organization. So we think you'll do a great job. I appreciate that.
Well said, Scott. Well said.
Thank you. And with that, now we'll move in, Liz, please.
I will take that.
Good morning, board members. I'm here for the next few items, so let's get comfortable. I also brought a lot of papers in case there's questions, so I can fumble through them and answer it. Okay, up first, we're going to take a look at the financial results for the month ending July 31, 2025. So here we have our regular bar charts. As of July 31st, 2025, we're 8% into the fiscal year. Taking a look on the revenue side, we're a little over 7% on revenue for Fund 10. As anticipated, our service charges are accrual driven. Everything else is cash driven. And we have received our teeter payment from Nevada County. We have not received Placer or Eldo. Historically, those lag a little bit into the next 2 months. So you should hear me saying that we receive them in the next few weeks. Taking a look at Fund 2, that is connection charges and interest. And this month there were 17 connection charges. We're about 11% for revenue there. Taking a look at our expenditures, as typical with this agency, and that's the reason why we have our reserve policy structured the way that we do. In July, we make some large payments. We make our annual UAL payment, and we pay most of our insurance, about 98% of it. So we have a little higher lift for expenditures in that first month. So we're at almost 15% expense. That will slow up a little bit since those big expenditures were taken out. For Fund 2 and for Fund 6, very minimal activity. On Fund 6, on your page 38 of the 128 packet that you received, I wanted to note that we've had conversations about timing of cash flows. And at the very bottom of that, there are 3 projects that were rolled over from last year just based on the timing. So you can identify those. Are there questions on revenues or expenditures for the month of July before we take a quick look at cash? Okay, we are still telling the story we should be telling with this chart. The trend aligns with prior years where we uptick because we've ended our year and then we make a significant amount of payments. We are above our prior year lines there, and that's a nod to the fact that we've increased our rates year over year. The recommended action before you today, if there are no other questions, is to approve the financial results for the month ending July 31, 2025.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Approved.
Awesome. So let's keep talking about financial results. Last month, when I brought the June 30 results, I let you know that the expenditure period for accruals had not closed. I'm bringing these results back There's an additional about $995,000 that was accrued, about a little less than 500,000 for Fund 10. And then again, Fund 2 carried a higher amount and Fund 6 had about $70,000 in those approved accruals. Are there any questions on the accruals that you saw in the packet?
No.
Right, and the action here would be to review and approve the FY25 year-end results. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, 2 for 2, let's keep it going. This item is for consideration to receive and file the budget book. We've talked a few times in depth about the FY26 budget. What the budget book does is adds colors and words, but it also provides all of those FY25 results in those categories. It's the only place that you see the department roll-up of the prior year compared to the budget. The GM's message that was overlaid into the budget and the theme that built the budget was major infrastructure begins this year. We've talked about that. We're upgrading systems, continuing to meet regulations, planning on if they get more stringent, and we're also boosting our long-term reliability. We have a new GM in place that just happened. And so we need to take steps for the leadership team to continue to align with that 5-year strategic plan. And this budget stays fiscally conservative and funds all of FY26 activities. Priority 1 for Fund 6. There will be several more capital funding conversations that come to the board throughout this fiscal year. Part of it will be the development and the delivery of that capital improvement program and how we intend to fund that, as well as the nutrient alternative removal project. Are there specific questions about the budget book?
I think I shared the one with you.
Yes, typos. Scott noted one, or President Wilson noted one typo. I do tend to give a gold star for the person that can catch me on the most amount of typos. So please let me know if you saw anything in that document that needs to be updated before it's posted to the website.
I was looking for extra digits, but I didn't see any of it.
Tried real hard not to add any of those.
I saw that.
You got
It
it.
had enough of this.
And I'll just say, Liz, your leadership on this has been amazing. I mean, you've brought us to a level that's, I don't know that we knew would be there. And I think that your work with Jason and staff and the leadership is really showing dividends for us. So I really appreciate the work that you've done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And do we have a motion to approve the budget book?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Make sure I can see that part. There we go. Okay, I saved most of my words for this item. This is an item that we've talked about at Finance Committee several times, and I'm very excited to bring it to the board for approval, for consideration for approval today. So the first Finance Committee that I attended about 18 months ago, I was surprised that the Finance Committee had the power to approve something because it was not the full board. So it caused me to ask a lot of questions, and I found the document where Finance Committee was initiated. It was a staff report that was brought in the October 2021 meeting. It's included in your packet. I went to the following meeting notes to make sure it was approved, because not everything gets approved every single time. That became the governing document that I tried to make sure we were living by at the Finance Committee. As I've progressed on that committee, I wanted to more formalize the position of the Finance Committee. So before you today are a few things. There's a more formalized charter document. And what I want to point out is there are a few proposed changes. I recommend aligning the membership appointment with the president and vice president rotations versus an annual appointment. I know the document said there was an annual appointment. I don't believe the members have changed regularly. So we wanted to put that into the charter document. I'd also like to present an annual calendar that's approved by the board, so the full board knows the actual activities that the Finance Committee is doing. And the calendar is not intended to be fully inclusive of every single thing we'll do, but we want you to know the larger categories and have an opportunity to speak on it at the full board. We'd like to add committee meeting minutes to the Finance and Admin Department Board Report as an informational item. We also discussed that Finance Committee potentially having the board members that are on committee giving an update during their board reports. Also, instead of bringing a monthly snapshot of where we're at budget to actuals, we do dig into that every single month in finance committee in much more depth. I thought it would be more appropriate to provide a quarterly financial plan update to the board that talked a little bit more about just budget to actual projections, where we're going, any red flags I see coming up in the fiscal year. So those are the key differences between the two documents. I'll also slip through here and show you. This keeps me organized. This is how my brain works, very much like an Excel spreadsheet. The items on here, again, are designed to be the higher categories or topics that we'll be discussing. And it lets the board know what's coming for approval, where it's going, and when to anticipate it. It's also a very good tool for my new boss to hold me accountable to all the things I just signed up for. So those are the main talking points that I wanted to bring to your attention for this presentation. Are there questions from the board on this document or the supporting calendar?
Can you go back to, because the finance committee overlapping with the president and vice president appointments or, yeah. One of the things that we're looking at is, and I brought it up in the last finance committee, is that I would like to move off of the finance committee. And I have had a conversation with Catherine, she might be interested in it. And my thought was that it was going to be January, but it sounds like now we have to make a decision to align with the September appointments. Is that correct?
So the full board has the authority to change anything that's in this document.
Right.
My recommendation is still to align it with that for the future, because this is a document I'd like to live long past my career here. However, you can make the exception to say this one time we're going to, because of this change, or state your reason, and then go ahead and change the appointment for January. You would just need the full board to agree with it.
Any comments or thoughts on that?
I was just curious, that's not so new, how often are the president, vice president seats changed?
Every 2
Every
years.
2 years.
Okay, so it's not every year, like, on the board, okay.
We could change that.
Yeah.
Right, we always do. Okay.
Any thoughts, comments, Dale?
No comments.
Okay. Well,
I really like the proposal to do the financials to the full board every 3 months. I don't see the need for it every month, frankly. So, really like that. I like the changes. I like the calendar. Like you said, it's kind of holds you accountable as well. But it also lets the rest of the board know what's going on with the finance committee. So I like that a lot. So really, I was in favor of everything here. The only part I didn't understand was the rotation of the president and vice president and change of the finance committee. To me, I think it's fine to have that in the document, but I also think that we could, if anyone feels like, there's too much going on in their personal life, whatever, and they can't make the finance committee or whatever the reason is, I think it's fine to change that at any point.
Yeah, agreed. I think it's good just to have it on the calendar for some time.
yeah. Well, it sounds like we can have a motion to approve. Anybody?
Yeah, I would move that we approve the finance committee governance document that's been presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And thank you, Liz. I like you. I like.
Thank you very much.
Before you leave, Liz. Before you leave,
Encore.
since how we're on the topic of finance. Several months ago, a few months ago, we were in high-level discussions about our rehab of the plant and what it's gonna take to rehab this plant. And our consultant threw a $50 million figure at us, Liz, and you and I have talked about this, about what it's gonna take this agency to have cash in hand in order to be able to qualify for a state loan for our rehab. And $50 million is a lot of money. And I still haven't gotten my arms around how we're gonna achieve that goal. With the present financial plan that we've got before us. And I don't want you to elaborate on it right now, Liz, because you've already made your presentation. But I want to express to the board and staff that we shouldn't take our eyes off this ball. Because time goes by very quickly when you take care of your day-to-day and month-to-month chores here at TTSA. And as every month slips by, our plant is getting older and older and older. And my fear is on the 11th hour, we're gonna be faced with some very critical and serious financial decisions that will impact this agency dramatically. And what I'd like to see is and I know we're moving forward with this plan because we spent a lot of money with Carrillo. And the presentations that they made were staggering for me anyway. And I don't want to see this agency take its eye off the ball because this is something that's coming down the pike. It's not just a matter of business, it's a matter of our existence as an agency to provide the highest level of service we can to our constituents. So I don't know how we can keep this on the front burner, but we can't take our eyes off the ball because this is extremely important. And like I say, time just kind of marches on. And if we don't keep our eye on the ball, we're going to be faced with a very serious financial crisis when we're most unexpected. So, seeing how this is a finance report, Liz, you do a great job. But $50 million, we joke about it. You and I have joked about it. It's a serious issue.
That's just the down payment.
Yeah, that's just
Right.
to get us our foot in the door.
Yeah.
And we've got an old car. We've got an old car
Very old car, not a
that we've
classic.
been driving down the road for 50 years. We gotta sit back and make some decisions here in the next couple of years. And I don't like the idea of thinking that we're gonna sit back and take care of business like we always do. This is important stuff. Let's not let it fall through the cracks.
Thank you, Dale. I would just tell you that, in the finance committee, there's no chance that we have been taking our eye off the ball. I mean, every finance committee that we meet in, that's front and center. And, I can't speak for, staff, Liz and Jason and the entire team, but there has never been any indication that they aren't on it like you would hope they would be. They really, they provide a lot of information, and that's brought up every meeting, so.
Yeah.
The conversation lends itself to one of the reasons why I wanted to make the finance committee minutes more prevalent here, or have one of the finance committee members speak to the full board about what we talked about for that very reason. Also, one of the benefits for me to bringing financials here quarterly, I have other audience time with you all in those other months where I haven't exhausted you with the charts every month, where we can talk about an updated reserve policy, how our money's gonna help us, an updated investment policy. Those are all steps along the journey to get us to where we're gonna have to issue debt and be in a very, very heavy capital expenditure world. So I say that to say, take some comfort. The board has taken steps. You've increased rates, you've increased service charges. We're engaging all of the right people and asking all of the right questions now. So we'll continue to progress that, but bring that information.
Yeah, Dale, if it helps you, Bert is all over this. He's got a lot of experience in making things like this happen, so he's laser focused.
Take out your magic wand, Bert.
Yeah. I heard it.
Because, like I say, you know, I crawled underneath people's houses for a living, but I know what 50 million bucks is. It's a lot of dough.
It's a lot of
It's a
crawling
lot
under
of
houses.
dough. And if we're looking at a 5-year plan here, that's 10 million a year. I just, I'm a little concerned. So take out your magic wand, Bert, get us home.
No worries.
All right.
So I have maybe a suggestion here or an idea. Maybe Jason, it would be good to take 10 minutes every board meeting and just give us an update on the status of where we are with the process for the membrane plant. I know we've got bids out right now and all that, but maybe the rest of the board isn't up to speed on that. And maybe that's just a standard agenda item. Just, hey, there's nothing went on this month, Greg, but if there is, then, and here are the things in front of us. Obviously, the bonds and the finances and all that's separate, but just in general, might be helpful.
I think that's a great idea, Bert.
Public and company.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Anything else?
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Moving on to the discussion and possible action of the Placer County LAFCO appointment of vacant alternate seat. Jason?
Yeah, so as you all are aware, several months ago, there was a request to make an appointment to potentially fill a vacant alternate position on the Placer County LAFCO. The board unanimously decided to put Scott Wilson's name in the pool, and so here we sit. We are now looking for a vote. We can submit that vote, but we need to get consensus from the board on whether or not you want to stick with the staff recommendation, which is to continue to Director Wilson on that. We can submit that vote.
And make a motion that TTSA vote for Director Wilson to take to be elected to the vacant alternate seat at LAFCO.
Second.
Well, favors say aye. This is awkward.
Aye.
All abstain.
And Scott, my understanding is the alternate seat, the way that works is you go to all the LAFCO meetings. And if there's another board member who's absent, then you would have voting
Right.
authority. If the full board is in attendance, then you don't have voting
No.
authority, or whoever gets elected to this seat.
Right. I'm a bench player on it.
Yeah,
In case something fouls out.
yeah.
So,
It's better than coming from a cemetery district. Thank God. You're looking at that going, what?
motion approved. Okay. Now, get into some visuals here. Department reports, and I believe, Michael, we start with you.
Morning, Board of Directors, President Wilson. Operations report's pretty short and sweet this month. We met all plant discharge requirements for the month. And staff went and visited the Napa Sanitation Agency because they have some facilities that are for our digestion improvements compatible. And we want to go see how those facilities were working for them. And we looked at a digester cover that we discussed in here before, and then also the generator that we're going to be getting from using our natural gas and our digester gas. So that's about it for operations. Everything else is pretty normal. Any questions for the operations department?
Michael, I have a question on the turbidity.
On the chart?
Yes.
It's not in the presentation.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It's not in the presentation, but it's
Oh,
in the
okay.
packet.
Well, my question is, it looks like it's consistently over last year.
The effluent
I believe that's what my note was, yes.
Yeah, it's
Is that,
It's not an abnormal for it to change a little bit through
Okay.
year to year, water temperature, stuff like that, so.
okay,
But it's well below the requirements, the discharge requirements.
Okay.
So as long as we're staying in those boundaries, there's no, we are looking at, some filter, upgrades maybe. One of the filters that we have, does the final filtering, has, some issues that we have to address, and that might be contributing to some of the increased turbidity, but we have to.
but we are still far below where we
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Was the only question I had.
Any other questions?
Just, how was your visit to Napa Sanitation Agency?
It was good. It was very informative. Yeah, Scott also, went down there, but we looked at their linear generator that we're looking at getting through that process. And, seemed to work out well for them. We learned a few things there that, learning curve that they had, kind of just how it hooks into the system and how you monitor and stuff like that. And we got to see that. Then also the cover, the gas storage cover. Little different there than it would be here because they don't have to deal with the snow loads and stuff like that. But they had some issues in the beginning that they talked about, that they worked through, and the cover they have on now has been in place for about 13 or 14 years. Been working great for them. So it was good to be able to see those technologies actually functioning. But yeah, a lot of good input, just, hands-on staff that actually are working on the systems and have dealt with them, with their, with what they've had to go through, and kind of can help you learn before it. So ask the right questions when they're bringing in the equipment. So yeah, it was good. It was good. Oh, and they use their wastewater to water the grapes. So I'm thinking that probably,
That's right.
Well, thank you.
Not do that, right? Ours has to go back to the river.
Yeah. It's for all you wine.
Questions for Mike? Okay.
We gotta slow down a little bit here. We're almost done here and it's only 9:30.
Hey,
That's a question.
This has got to be right.
go for a second, President.
Great job. All right, I should have brought my other glasses. Good morning. So for the month of July, the maintenance department, we provided support for the digestion improvements project and the nutrient removal project. I think you're going to see that on there for quite some time. So we're providing a lot of monthly support on that. We're reviewing plans and processes, and we got a lot of staff involved in that. I won't go through the exhaustive list of the plant maintenance activities for the month. I'll just cherry pick a few of them here. We repaired the Rake Max bar screen chain. We had a major issue with that caused by a small piece of wood, surprisingly, that actually took that entire machine down. And it was a fairly large and exhaustive repair to get that done. So that was very impactful. We rebuilt and installed a failed wash press, a similar sort of failure where a piece of metal got in there and caused some significant damage to the case and the screw inside there. So that was a pretty major repair. We've been waiting a while for that one. We replaced the primary 3-scum hatch cover. We replaced digester number 33 transfer pump VFD. And we replaced digester number 29 and 30 feed valve actuators. And we're doing some preparation work for the redundant SCADA server. That is anticipated to be delivered very soon here. So that's moving forward. Our unfilled positions, currently we are hiring for the SCADA specialist. We're receiving applications for that. The other 2 positions are currently on hold. For the month of July, we completed quite a few more work orders for the month. However, we did get some timely work orders that came in that impacted our pending work order load, but we'll get through those pretty quickly. Mostly impacted by preventative maintenance work. One thing I did want to touch on before moving on in the report is just that maintenance. I wanted to give the board some assurances that maintenance is currently looking at a lot of the maintenance activities throughout our 50-year-old plant and different processes. We're looking at them closely to see how these new CIP projects and are impacting
our decisions to repair, replace throughout the facility. So we're looking closely at that. Timing wise, how much life do we have left in some of these things? Whether or not we replace them now, because we still have a plant to run. So it's not an easy decision always, but we're being very cautious on how we spend our money because we know there's big expenditures coming.
Quick question.
Yes.
Ignorance here. So when you have something like that, forgotten the name of it already. So you have a piece of equipment that goes down, you said, because a piece of wood. Does that bring the whole plant to a standstill? And if it does, how long can you keep the plant in that? Like, how long of a window do you have to repair a piece of equipment?
Fortunately, in the case of Headworks, we have redundancy in place, so we have another bar screen in place that we can use. And the fallback for that is a manual bar screen, so which requires staff to go out there and rake that bar screen. So we've got enough redundancy built into place. Same thing with the wash press. We have 2 wash presses in place that we can get through, and we can figure out ways around these types of maintenance issues.
Do we have any one piece of equipment or one point in the plant where if it goes down, the plant's down?
I'm sure there are, but very few. We've built in quite a bit of redundancy throughout the plant through the most critical processes. So I think Michael will probably have some good information with regards to our redundancy. Some areas, some single points of failure that you could think of. Not very many.
Single points of failure could be like nitrification or denitrification. If we had a toxic slug come in or something and we had or our O2 basins and we lost our microbiology, it could cause us to not be able to meet our requirements for a period of time, still be able to treat water to some extent and do certain things and still put water out, but we might not be able to meet our requirements. So 99% of the plant is redundant, and we also have bypassing capability too. So if something did go down, it was a single source, it'd be an emergency, but we do have places to store water, the wastewater for a while, and then be able to bring it back through the plant at some point to be able to treat it. So. And of course, when we do the greenfield or moving forward with the nutrient removal, all that'll be considered, of course, for redundancy and to make sure that we can continuously treat the wastewater and put it back out into the fields.
I would say probably in my mind, one of the biggest concerns would be the TRI itself. That's our tracheoregular interceptor. So that is a single line going into the plant. And we do have at a certain point, there's a line, backup line that goes in, but that vast majority of that line going all the way up to the Lake Tahoe is a single line. So that's always a concern, and we do monitor that through telemetry. Talking about the rake max a bit more, that little break right there, a piece of wood wedged in there, broke that chain. See, it was a challenge getting in and out of that thing. So just some pictures that illustrate that. And then,
So is that something that is that something that got into the sewer line somehow?
correct. Yeah, it was a small wedge of wood that went in there, got wedged in the chain. As the chain came around, it provided enough pressure to pop the link out of that thing and broke it. Wasn't an easy fix for something that looks so simple. This is the wash press. This was a much more extensive repair. We had to rebuild this pretty much from the ground up. We did visit our Mount Pluto repeater as one of our maintenance activities. We went up there, and we have a repeater up there that allows that telemetry along the TRI to speak back to the plant, and that's where that repeater is located. So we did some work up there, and that's one of our vendors there doing his work.
Does anyone else use that, or is that
Oh, yeah.
exclusively out?
So we have our own repeater, but that tower is used by a lot of different agencies throughout here. Pretty much almost everything in this area goes through that tower. So almost every agency has something up there. So in fact, ours is probably the smallest piece. These are some pictures, talking about the Neposan tour. We did send maintenance staff down to that. I unfortunately was unable to attend. But that picture on the right is their linear generator there. And on the left-hand side is the dual membrane cover, both of which we're looking at for our digestion improvements project.
How big is that membrane cover?
Since I wasn't there, I don't know.
It looks like it's kind of small to me, but I don't know.
The scale is not representative of in the photo, so
Yeah.
it's pretty large. That their digester, that's not technically a digester they operate, it's a holding tank for their sludge, so they have an egg-shaped digester adjacent in a different photo that's not shown here.
Okay.
But I'd say that's approximately about 100 feet diameter.
Oh, okay, so it's
pretty
larger
intense.
than it looks on.
60 to 100 if I had to guess offhand without, we didn't
Okay.
ask that question, but yeah.
It's larger than the one that we would be procuring.
Okay.
It Paul,
Yes.
picture of the generator. Popped a question in my mind. So when we were talking about the digester improvements project a few months ago, there was this question as to whether or not we wanted to incorporate power generation into that project to basically make full use of the excess methane that we have. My recollection was we left that question unanswered or not.
So I would also defer to Scott since he's handling that
Yeah.
project, but I would say that my understanding is that current designs do incorporate the linear generator into it. And that design is proceeding currently. But Scott can expand.
There was questions regarding the net payback on the system. Brown and Caldwell did an evaluation, and based off of that, they've come to findings that a 7-year payback is anticipated. The goal was for 10 years for payback on the piece of equipment. And additionally, it sets the project up for potential tax credits that we're still pursuing. So we're working on getting a tax advisor with Liz that can pursue the requirements of that. The big beautiful bill that passed has originally, there was supposed to be sunsetting on some of those tax credits at the end of this calendar year. Those have since been extended specifically with the linear generator written into that. So as of right now, the project is still incorporating that project element in. It's also more or less pretty critical for us for a community benefit to repurpose that biogas as well. So even if we don't secure those tax credits with the payback of operating that equipment versus just flaring out waste gas. So
Right.
I would, yeah, at this point, it's part of the project scope and in the project budget overall.
So then any electricity that would be generated from that, would that primarily just feed the plant? The amount of electricity that would come off of that wouldn't be in excess of what we're consuming here at any given point in time.
That is correct. So the unit's at 250 kW or kilowatt unit per hour. At flat out 100%, it would offset approximately 25% of the overall energy demand. We have a pretty flat energy profile, so we don't intend to net meter back anything to try to get on the PUD.
So that this will all be back to meter and it won't kick us into needing to figure out, selling power to PUD for broader distribution.
That is correct. We would have to put multiple units in to even remotely consider that conversation, and we don't produce enough biogas to justify that. So at that point, we would be looking at purchasing natural gas through Southwest or whatever. Is it Southwest Gas, Michael, that is our?
Yeah.
No, to produce enough energy to justify net metering back, which the break even's not there for that.
Okay, thanks.
Welcome.
So we spent approximately between $100,000 and $115,000 a month on electricity. So what I'm hearing is there could be a reduction of perhaps 25%.
Up to potentially 25%. So we can talk about it more on the engineering report if you'd like.
Okay.
I'll sit down, but we have very seasonal variations in biogas production. So operational control step strategies of that equipment will be dependent on whether or not we want to purchase natural gas and burn it through the unit to supplement during times when we don't produce enough biogas. And that strategy is still being worked out with Brown and Caldwell on prioritizing campus heating needs versus energy generation on site and where the most cost-effective solution is for the agency.
Okay. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Wait a minute, Paul.
Yes.
I tried.
Wait a minute, Paul. When it comes to maintenance, you handle that plant very well. Who's handling the landscape out there?
Currently, the operations U crew is handling
Is that,
landscape.
is that under your wheelhouse?
No, sir, it's under
It's not.
operations.
Okay, because, what's happening outside is a transition that I see is extremely positive.
I agree.
The curb appeal that we've got going on right now is very, very exceptional, and it's outstanding. And if this is the way it's gonna keep going, the amount of money that we had for rehabbing the curb appeal, we can put on the back burner and save this agency a lot of money. And whoever's in charge of doing the yard work out there and taking care of the curb appeal, I want you to let them know that they're doing a great job, and it's very noticeable.
I agree wholeheartedly, and I'd like to call out Brandon Diamond. He's led that effort. He's done an outstanding job. He's kept the guys going on it. He's remained focused, and you can see the results out there. So he's been able to
He's doing a
dedicate time
great
and effort.
job, and it's very, very noticeable.
Absolutely. I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Did it jump?
Yeah,
Second.
right there. There.
Right, we're good. Thank you. Morning, board members, President Wilson, Scott Plumbing, Senior Engineer, here today to present to you the Technical Services Department report. So with that, ongoing projects that engineering is working on, as you heard mentioned, digestion improvements project. Currently, Brown and Caldwell is working towards a 60% design on schedule. We are working on getting construction management agreement terms in place. So with an RFP, similar process, staff will ultimately come back to you guys in a month or two with the staff recommendation to award CM services for that project. As we talk about some of the critical equipment with that project, we need to determine whether or not pre-selection, pre-agreement terms are appropriate for securing the equipment separate of the contract work. So I would anticipate for the linear generator and some of the other equipment, we're going to be coming back to you guys looking to get an executed sales agreement in place for that equipment to secure pricing up front rather than going through low bid with the contractor and losing control of that equipment costs through that. So we're working with legal on a path forward on that. And then, yep, we coordinated a Napa Sand tour with Brown and Caldwell to check out some of those critical equipment items. Moving on to the TRI rehab project or Alpine Meadows to Olympic Valley. As you guys recall, this is a lining project. It's a cured in place pipeliner. It looks like the contractor is going to be submitting using a hot water cured liner. They've been issued an NTP and are working currently on construction submittals. With that, and everything's fallen into line for us to proceed forward with that contract work between the September 2nd and October 20th timeframes. And we have a pre-con meeting scheduled later this month with the contractor and stakeholders, City PUD, property owners, et cetera, that will be impacted, Caltrans, along with the permitting agencies as well. Nutrient removal. Dale, like Director Cox, I took note of your comments. They're well heard. Just as a reminder, I wanted to make note that that estimate for that project was $229 million currently for construction costs. That doesn't include the final design services required as well, which we anticipate to be between $15 and $20 million. So we currently received two proposals. Those are from Stantec and Carollo. We've done the presentation interviews for both of those two consulting firms, and now staff are working on scoring the proposals. We will be intending to come back to you guys in September with our scoring and recommendations for that project. And then we also have 2025 digital scanning sewer lines. So just as a reminder, we compiled all three of our typical scans into a single contract for agency savings. That contractor, ProPipe, has been working towards completing those scans. We prioritized some of the scanning work on Legacy Trail because the town of Truckee currently has a repaving project going on. So we wanted to make sure to get in there and stay out of their way while that paving work's going on and not impact our schedule with our scanning contractor. So that work's been coordinated and completed. And then as of right now, they're about 1/3 of the way through the scanning work for that. Additionally, not shown on the engineering list is we are also working on that capital improvements program book with Liz and some of the other department managers to coordinate those original master plan projects back from the 2020 master plan with the long-term plan for the facility with new treatments as well. Moving on to the laboratory. So every summer we have Teichert soil sampling that occurs. This is to ensure that the import piles coming in to Teichert meet our requirements per the lease agreement we have with them on the property. So the lab staff go out there and they pull samples typically on a monthly basis. We have continuing California Department of Public Health COVID sampling. That's something we elected to do and provide them those samples. And then pre-treatment quarterly sampling occurred in August. For corrective actions, there were 2 this month completed and there's 3 pending. I think that might be off the slide here.
Hey, Scott.
Yeah.
On the, their COVID sampling, is that something we need to continue doing?
Jason, I'll defer to you on that one.
I think that there was maybe a little bit of a misunderstanding when we got into it, that it was gonna be leading edge information that the community was gonna be able to use. I think it's more accurate to say that it's research. And it could at some point in the future be beneficial, and the more data they get, the better. And at this stage, I've talked to Kristen in the lab. She doesn't feel that it's a substantial workload burden. So she's comfortable continuing as long as CDPH is using the data and using it to make some good decisions on their end. But as far as, the initial intent was to have somewhat of a public facing website where people could go and, curiosity, I guess. But yeah, there's been a lot of caution in the research community against using this information for leading edge, detection of outbreaks. So it didn't end up being that, but it is very useful information for the state, and they're very happy to get.
So we're basically collecting samples on some interval, sending them off to the state, and then they're doing their thing. So it's basically our time to collect the sample and ship it.
That's
is the time investment.
Yeah, they provide all the sampling equipment, they provide the coolers to send them in, they give us paid postage. It's a pretty simple process. It might amount to 45 minutes or an hour of administrative work a week. And, Kristen's managing that. And there's some metadata, flows, temperature data stuff that they ask for, and it's not major scan off her teeth. So she, it's a cool thing to participate in.
Scott, going back to the digital scanning, is it a requirement that we have to scan the entire length every 3 years? Or was that, we broke it into thirds?
So the state requires us to maintain an SSMP, that's the sanitary sewer management plan. In there, there's criteria for regular inspection of our infrastructure. And with that, we established every 4 years. We do it every 3 to ensure that if there's missed segments that we're not in direct, that we could still comply with that. So in a sense, if we miss something this year, we could still go back and hit it. But otherwise, yeah, it's something that we have in a policy we established to meet state requirements.
Okay, if I remember correctly, by doing the entire length, we save considerably money as it would have been over the 3 years in thirds, correct?
That is correct. So this contractor mobilized out of Arizona to do the work. They have their California licensing and bonding insurance, but just the state of this industry with our location, and we see this across different bids we do on all sorts of jobs. If it's a specialized contractor coming in, if we can minimize the mob cost by having them come out less frequently, we get cost savings incurred. So the contractor's got to put it, they get to put them up in a hotel somewhere in North Lake Tahoe here for this duration. And so with that, by doing it all in one single push, we're able to save approximately 33% or so on the overall cost. Plus, on the back end costs, you don't see incurred or administrative costs for staff signing those contracts, issuing bid documents, and the time needed for bonding, whether Rochelle or Adam supports that. So there's additional costs not seen in addition to just the cost of the actual scanning work itself.
So we would be looking at 3-year increments going forward?
that would be my recommendation, so we don't revisit this again until 2020.
Thank you.
On the information technology side, so we've got, we have currently completed a total of 20 corrective work requests. There's 6 outstanding, and then preventative maintenance work requests 6 with 4 outstanding. There's ongoing work on the firewall for security purposes. Permit portal replacement project is in place. That's with permitting for people that are doing development projects. Website migration's ongoing. I would anticipate a couple more months before we're live on that. Offboarding outgoing GM and adjusting roles associated with Jason Hayes' appointment to the general manager position. Updating PCs to prepare for end of life of Windows 10 and new laptops. Those go hand in hand for commissioning and rollouts. That's currently ongoing. A lot of staff here. And then secondary ISP planning, upgraded Wi-Fi coverage in the plant down at BNR, coordination meeting with the OT team for pertaining to SCADA and commissioning new virtual server hosts. So quite a bit of coordination there. And then as Paul and Mike will hit on the Napa Santa tour that we had earlier this month.
And Jason, this might be more directed towards you. Can you go back the slide, please? As far as, I forget exactly what it was, how it was said, but you're moving into the GM position, so your past position is open.
Correct.
And it talked about managing the roles to basically take up your last job, right?
Yeah.
Where do we stand on that?
Well, as of today, the position is officially vacant, so we can start recruiting for that position. We can get someone in place on an interim basis and start covering that, and we can go for an open recruitment of the role.
Okay,
That's the current plan.
so sounds like Scott's doing quite a bit of the work at this point.
Scott would be a likely candidate to be asked to do an interim fill-in, yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Because that was a very important role for us.
It is, yeah, I would agree. It's you gotta have a lot of hands and a lot of different pies, so.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Thank you, Scott.
Still good morning. Still good morning. I don't have to say good afternoon when I come to wrap up this report, right? Let's talk about the administrative report for July activities. Risk and safety, recruitment for the safety and compliance administrator just closed on Monday evening. There are 10 complete applicant packets that I have sitting on my desk to review this afternoon. So ideally, I'll be coming back next month and letting you know how we've progressed through that. On the finance side of things, we took care of all of our general duties. We also held the July Finance Committee meeting, and this is the place going forward. You'll see the Finance Committee meeting minutes from the prior meeting that will be embedded in here as well. On the billing and customer service side, I'm going to give a shout out to Celeste. She's also working with the IT team on the permit portal work. So don't be surprised, member agencies will be getting a call from her at some point. We'll need to do some training because software will be changing related to the connection permits. Purchasing administration, again, general duties, managing the front desk as well. And overall general administration, doing what the general manager asked of us, finance committee and the board asked of us as well. And we have a couple of pictures. Another shout out to Celeste. She does a great job of making sure that we get some pictures. Again, as office dwellers, it's not as exciting to see our pictures of what we do up here. So I really appreciate her making sure to take pictures when she goes out and about in the area. Are there any questions on the admin team? Thank you.
I do have one. So in the graph that you showed us on the EDUs, one of the things that hit me immediately was the 2025 number of EDUs at 118.
Okay.
And I think prior to that, we were averaging 210, 215. That's a pretty big gap. And I'm wondering if we are, for next year's, for this year's budget, we plan 200.
211 is the EU assumption of growth.
Okay,
And we're conservative with that. There are other member agencies that assume more. There are agencies that assume less. We take that conservative approach to see what our actual growth will be.
okay. Thank you. Yeah, I just noticed that it seemed like it slowed down.
I'll keep an eye on that, and if we start to see a continued disconnect, that's something I could bring in the quarterly report to talk
Okay.
about, because we wouldn't be seeing the revenue generation.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Liz. And I guess we can move on to Jason, your official GM report.
First official. Yeah, let me just preface this by saying that, they are the ones that make all of this possible, so I cannot stress enough how, supportive the management team and the administrative team have been in the position as an interim with Richard leaving, and it's been a tremendous, it gives me good hope for the future. This is a great team we have, so just wanted to give them all the thanks and let them know how much I appreciate all the support. So, yeah, it's, we're ramping up, stuff's starting to happen. We've been holding some regular meetings. I've been kind of integrating myself into some of the general manager, role. Area wide, participated in the local member agency area general manager meetings. That was a great experience. It's a great group of people that I'm gonna rely on a lot. We had initial talks with, the Unified School District, regarding them potentially being interested in getting out of their lease to sell that, to buy that property from us. So that would be part of the entire land use and all that ad hoc discussion that we've had about other parcels. So very, very preliminary discussions. We are in the process, so that you're aware, on the land use, and we are in the process of getting ourselves an internal assessment on how much we can expect to make per acre. Kind of give us an idea of, you know, what level of effort we want to really put forward for some of these things, considering the monies we're gonna get. But we're moving forward on that. We should have a number that we can use as kind of a per acre estimate, so we know. But yeah, that's progressing nice. It was a really welcome, to hear that they were interested in doing that. So, new shirt removal improvement projects, proposals received. Scott went over a lot of that stuff. I will say, you know, reiterating some of what Paul had mentioned and Scott, which is that this project lives in every aspect of what we do. It has, rent-free space in all our heads. We are all, everything we do, every software we purchase, every position we justify, everything is filtered through that lens of, will this make sense in 5 to 10 years? When? And it, you know, it impacts financials, it impacts logistics, it impacts technical capabilities, it impacts decisions for departments. So this is, it's a tough time right now. We are doing what we can. We're asking a lot out of certain individuals. People are performing at very high levels right now. So we're gonna manage the transition into hopefully 10 years from now very well. I'm very confident in that. It's something that we have to keep in the forefront, as Director Cox mentioned. So we're continuing to move down that. Just so you guys are aware, we were talking about the president, vice president. Just as an informational item, next month, we will be discussing the odd year appointment of president, vice president, 2-year term. And then we can also have that discussion formally about the finance committee and how the board would like to handle appointments for that calendar versus, you know, aligning with the presidency or one-offs. So that will be coming up. We've got some conferences coming up. We have CSDA annual conference. CSDA is great. We've got, Liz will be attending. That was a last minute call. I saw enough things in that, and she saw enough things in that that's gonna be really beneficial. So she's gonna be doing that. We're working a lot on the Civic Plus, which is they do our board meeting stuff. They do our website, all of that stuff. So, gonna be some trainings involved. We have WebTech coming up, which is effectively the industry conference for the year. It'll be in Chicago. It has 4 and maybe close to 500 vendors that will be in attendance. I think they see a few thousand people show up. So It'd be a really big thing, and we're at some decision points as far as future infrastructure goes, where it would be a nice opportunity to start making those connections, make sure we're exploring all the paths, because people tend to get in a rut. And then, CSDA Board Secretary Training, our conference, Rochelle will be attending that. That's always good. Lots of good opportunities to network. And with that, if the board has any questions,
How many people will be going to WebTech?
we have 5 going.
Any questions, comments from the board? Jason? I think we're ready to wrap things up. Might be a record. We have a motion to adjourn the board of directors meeting for today.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
In favor?
aye?
Aye. Thank you.